Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020. So, the dust has settled on the news of the YouTube deal that the Overwatch League and Blizzard have struck to transfer the broadcast of the Overwatch League from Twitch to YouTube for 2020 and the foreseeable future. And I made a fairly, quick video on it when the announcement was made, and I think it's time now to go back and look at the pros and cons of moving to YouTube instead of being on Twitch. Now, this obviously covers more than just the Overwatch League, because it's a Blizzard Activision deal. It's not just an Overwatch League deal. So this means that the Call of Duty League, which started a couple of days ago, it's been started on YouTube. It was never on Twitch because it's only just started. And the Hearthstone esports and the World of Warcraft esports tournaments have been moved to YouTube as well. So this is an entire Blizzard Activision deal. Basically all of their esports is going to be on Twitch right now. On YouTube, I should say. I am very interested to see what they do with Overwatch Contenders, because that obviously has always been on Twitch, and I wonder whether they will move Overwatch Contenders to YouTube, because I think that could possibly be... it might not necessarily be a bad move for the league, but for Contenders, it possibly could be a bad move, because Contenders was struggling for viewership already. So, let's talk about it. I'm not going to talk too much about the Call of Duty League. I'm not going to talk too much about the other stuff. This is an Overwatch League channel mostly, so we're going to talk about the Overwatch League and the benefits and drawbacks to being on YouTube. And there's also some numbers to take into account here. Now, you look at the League of Legends Worlds tournament, which is absolutely massive. League of Legends has always been a massive esport. When you look at their numbers and you compare their Twitch and YouTube numbers, actually, they had higher peaks in terms of viewership on YouTube last year than they did on Twitch, which is actually very interesting. And it's also a similar story for the viewer numbers for things like Fortnite. And the reason Fortnite is so successful on YouTube is because of the young viewership. Generally, viewership is younger on YouTube than it is on Twitch. On Twitch, you're generally 18 plus, whereas YouTube is very much open to a lot of people aged less than 18, and therefore the younger viewership on YouTube is much higher. Also, YouTube is obviously, it's able to get to a lot more places than Twitch is right now. The question is YouTube going to do that? Because they're not really doing a massive amount. Now, the thing that's always been the issue with the Overwatch League is that Overwatch League coverage, I know that from a personal standpoint, Overwatch League coverage is very difficult to get off the ground on YouTube. It always has been. The Overwatch League itself, its content, has never done massively well on YouTube at all. And I think if you speak to a lot of Overwatch League YouTubers especially, it can be quite difficult to get content to people regarding the Overwatch League. You look at the major Overwatch channels on YouTube, and they're generally Overwatch channels. They're not Overwatch esports channels, they're not Overwatch League channels, they are Overwatch channels. They're looking at new heroes, they're talking about rumours, they're talking about issues with the game that you're playing rather than the game that's being played in the esport. So Overwatch League has always had a trouble in the content on YouTube, and this is some of the way to perhaps trying to solve that, but it does mean ditching Twitch. Now, the numbers are, and Sideshow quoted this when he was talking about it, 17% of gaming content consumed is live. So the majority of content is consumed through VODs, through videos. And that is what YouTube does at its very, very, very best. And Twitch does a very poor job of videos, apart from clips, which are only 30 seconds long, let's be honest. And that is one thing that you will lose on YouTube, and that is the clip system, which is very good at getting, certain channels noticed, but I'm not sure whether it's massively useful for the league in some respects. But that's kind of a personal point of view. But what YouTube will do is make the VOD content for the Overwatch League, so the entire game's, pre-recorded and then the things like the VODs of Watchpoint and stuff like that, and lookbacks and analysis and stuff like that, it'll be so much easier to get hold of that content and watch it. So I would imagine viewership for that sort of thing will go up for the Overwatch League. The question is, will live viewer counts go up or will they go down? The general consensus is that it will go down. The question is it might not, actually. Now, Twitch is very specific in its audience, right? So the Overwatch League doesn't get any audience on Twitch from China because China has its own streaming platforms and still will do when it moves to YouTube because China has strict regulations on that sort of stuff. Twitch is mainly a North American and Western is kind of stretching the mark there, but mainly Western is what I would say viewership. So you're talking about North America, you're talking about the major European countries, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and places like that. Whereas YouTube has a very much bigger grasp of world reach, if you see what I mean. So there's a lot of people from Asia that watch YouTube. A lot of people who don't watch Twitch will watch YouTube. So it has a much wider reach, as well as getting to those people in NA and in Europe, in the major countries in Europe. So I think that's a big benefit to moving to YouTube. Now, also another big benefit of moving to YouTube is the infrastructure. The infrastructure of YouTube is much, much better. The League will be able to stream it at a higher bit rate, it'll be higher quality, and the built-in player on the YouTube website is actually phenomenal, right? Much better than Twitch. You can rewind, you can start from where you want to, you can go back to live. It's actually really good. The viewership experience mainly is very good on YouTube. Now, obviously, the big elephant in the room, well, there's a few big elephants in the room right now, it's quite a squeeze, but one of the big elephants in the room is the chat, right? This is the big, thing. The chat experience on Twitch is unrivaled. Like, it's really, really good. It makes you feel like you're in a crowd. Yeah, it's a fantastic experience. And the emotes on Twitch are fantastic as well. The ones that you can use in the Overwatch League chat anyway. But, realistically, and this is a question I'd like to ask you lot, actually. How many of you actually interact with the Twitch chat on the Overwatch League? Now, my main interaction with the Twitch chat in Overwatch League was actually the All Access chat, because the main chat on the Overwatch League was just bonkers. You don't see the messages, half the messages are absolute beep, and half of it was completely irrelevant. So it's just spamming and stuff like that. That's why the All Access chat was created, I believe. So I actually really quite liked the All Access chat because you actually got to talk about what was going on instead of spamming ridiculous stuff. So there is that. And to be quite honest, I probably won't use the chat, to be quite honest with you, when I'm watching the Overwatch League. I'm too busy actually watching the play and kind of like self-analysing it. It's kind of weird. And also, obviously, I've mentioned the clip system. So that's a big loss as well. But I don't think it's a deal-breaking loss. Now, the issues with YouTube, and this is the big issue I've had also personally when I've debated streaming on YouTube myself. The promotion of live streams on YouTube is awful. There is no direct live stream tab. There is no YouTube gaming app anymore. I would doubt that's coming back. So YouTube really need to sort this out, right? They're putting like massive money on the table here to secure Blizzard Activision's rights to get all these streamers coming along. Like a lot of the 100 Thieves streamers are coming to YouTube, like Courage and Valkyrie, and they want to do more as well. And if YouTube really want to be and Google want to be a massive competitor to Twitch and Amazon, then they need to make the infrastructure for live streams a lot better, because otherwise it's going nowhere. They need some sort of live stream tab. They need to promote these live streams, because I searched, because I generally didn't know who the highest viewed streamer was for Overwatch on YouTube. The problem is, I couldn't find a defined list of the live streamers that were streaming Overwatch. It is awful to try and find streams unless you know exactly where you're going. And an example of this was the Call of Duty League stream that started this weekend. And I quickly popped in just out of interest to see what it was like. And it looked pretty cool, looked pretty pog, you know. They were, when I was watching it, were around 60k viewers. That's decent. That's decent. Can't moan at that. And the thing is, I got that because I knew what I was looking for. But if you search CDL, Call of Duty League, when the league is on, you won't necessarily get recommended the live stream of the Call of Duty League. You will get recommended, you know, content around the Call of Duty League, but not the Call of Duty League live stream, which is on right now. That shouldn't be a thing. Those live streams should be at the top of that search if they are live, without a doubt. Or there needs to be some sort of live stream option on the YouTube page, because otherwise accessing live streams is incredibly difficult. And I can see a scenario where you type in Overwatch League in the YouTube search, you get my content, you get all the other Overwatch League YouTubers' content, and then, I don't know, 10 items, 15 items down the page, all of a sudden you see, oh, the Overwatch League live stream. The Overwatch League's live, I didn't know. That should be at the top of the page. Otherwise, it's not going to get promoted and it's going to suffer viewership-wise. But I'm sure that YouTube must be doing something about this if they're going to really dip their toes into the esports realm like this, because otherwise it will never work. It will absolutely never work. Now, it'll be interesting to see what the numbers are like for the Overwatch League when it goes live in a couple of weeks' time, because obviously I said the Call of Duty League was getting 60k viewers when I was watching it. I don't know what it got on the first day. That was day 3, I think. And it'll be interesting because Call of Duty has always had a pretty good viewership on YouTube anyway. It's always been, I think, better on YouTube generally than it has on Twitch. It kind of like has these spates on Twitch and then dies away when the next game comes along. Whereas there's always been these, I think, high-profile Call of Duty players on YouTube that get really good viewership. So the COD League could be an outlier. And it'll be interesting to see if the Overwatch League can transfer that, because I'm sure that the Overwatch League, if it was on Twitch on its first day of this season, would probably be getting over 100k viewers. Will it achieve that on YouTube? I don't know. It depends how well the promotion goes. And at the moment, in my opinion, it's not going very well at all. Like, why is YouTube not making a massive, thing about this? Why have they not put a banner on their homepage saying, hey, we are the new home of the Premier Esports League, Overwatch League. Watch it, blah, 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 blah. But there doesn't seem to be that promotion, and considering they've spent money on this, you would think they'd want to promote it and try and get the best out of it. But the deal goes deeper than just what you see of face value, right? So what we see of face value is Blizzard Activision doing a deal with YouTube for the broadcasting rights of the Overwatch League, the COD League, Hearthstone and World of Warcraft, and basically all of Blizzard Esports. But what we don't see is actually a wider deal between Blizzard Activision and Google, because not only have YouTube secured the broadcast rights to the leagues and that, but Google have actually secured the rights to offer the cloud service to Blizzard Activision for their entire game library. So Blizzard Activision was using AWS, which is Amazon's cloud-based storage service, for all of their stuff, right? All of their game library, all of that. But now, this new deal will transfer all of that to Google's cloud-based services. So that's a lot of behind the screens tech stuff. But it's actually a massive deal, right? Because cloud stuff it's a massive battleground right now between Amazon with AWS, Microsoft with Azure, and then Google with Google Cloud and everything like that. So it's actually a pretty fierce battle, and Google is really on the up with that sort of thing, and this is a pretty big coup for Google. And so everything Blizzard Activision is being transferred to the Google Cloud services with this deal. So Blizzard Activision are paying Google for their cloud services. YouTube, which is Google, is paying Blizzard Activision for the rights to the Overwatch League, to the COD League, and everything else. So it's kind of a give and take. Now, don't get mistaken, obviously, it's not a handshake deal. You do this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, but it's not a handshake deal. They both pay each other certain amounts of money. I'm sure that the rights deal is probably going to be a lot more expensive than the Twitch rights deal was, because obviously there's the addition of the COD League, which has only just started. I would imagine it's a pretty hefty deal. There's no numbers, so we can't really say anything. But one source has said that this deal is much, much better for Overwatch League teams than the Twitch deal was in terms of finances. So that can only be a good thing, because there are some teams, mainly Houston Outlaws, but that's not necessarily Houston Outlaws' fault, that have had financial difficulties. So the more money being brought into the league through broadcasting deals like this one to the teams means better players, more players, and just a higher quality of Overwatch on show. And I think that can only be a good thing. So there's a lot of ups and downs to this. Obviously, the other elephant in the room is the integration with the client and the token system, where you earn tokens for a certain amount of time watched. There's also the question of the all access pass and stuff like that, whether that will be returning, whether YouTube have got special services in place for that, or coming for that. Again, it's very close to the kickoff of the league, so you know they need, if they've got this in the back pocket waiting to be released, they should release it pretty quickly, because otherwise people are going to get anxious. And I know a lot of people in the comment section on that video I posted a couple of days ago are really et up about the question of, am I going to get my tokens when I watch? Because honestly, you must be able to get tokens somehow, because Blizzard surely can't be that stupid. No, hold on, wait a minute. Editing me is talking to you now, not the me that recorded this video, because there's been some news regarding drops and rewards since I recorded the audio for this video, so I need to go over it. So, Pete Vlastelica, the new commissioner of the Overwatch League, since obviously Nate Nanza left during last year, he had some words to say on this, and he said that also we've heard your opinions about how drops might work on YouTube. It's important for fans to know that we are exploring ways to offer rewards for watching our broadcasts on YouTube in the future, and he quoted the Overwatch League, YouTube Gaming and COD League. So, yeah, this is an interesting one. I don't think this is the best way they should have done it. This sort of thing should have been contained within the announcement of the partnership with YouTube. And also, why on earth did they not think about this before? Because this clearly, with the words "in the future," well, I doubt whether the "in the future" refers to a week's time or so. So, I don't think we're going to be getting any rewards for the early days of the Overwatch League this season. Whether we will see it midway through the season, whether we will see it at all for the season, we don't know. This is poor. This is poor from the Overwatch League. This is poor from Blizzard. They knew that YouTube didn't have the infrastructure for drops and stuff like that, because there's no way to integrate your Blizzard account to YouTube. So this is very poor, and it's something I would have hoped they would have looked at before signing the deal, or at least prepared before signing the deal, or YouTube would have prepared something knowing they were going to sign this deal. You know, YouTube is a big company, Google is a big company, why can't they pull something out of their back pocket to sort this out? They've got tons of people employed, tons of developers for YouTube and stuff like that. It's pretty disappointing to see that this is not going to happen. So basically, for the start of the Overwatch League this year at least, if you want skins, you're gonna have to buy them. You are not gonna earn them. Simple as that. It's pretty disappointing, and yes, what can you do, really? It's pretty disappointing. That's all I can say. Yeah, there's still a lot up in the air, but there's good things and bad things about this deal, and only time will tell in terms of whether it will work or not. But that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. We've got a lot to talk about with the Overwatch League coming up anyway, because we're getting very close to the kickoff of the league. and there will be a video about meta, there will be a video about the first week, there will be a video about the season in total. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then!